Hello, everyone. It's Alan Lowe, and we're here at the Flagler Voice podcast studio with another really exciting episode of Be Your Best. This is actually episode 3, and with me today is my co host, Antoinette. How are you today?
I am good, and thank you. I'm excited to talk about this. So, today's topic is going to be the dark side of plants. And
Yeah.
we're just going to challenge, what if everything you were told about food and nutrition was actually, marketing ploys? So, we're going to dig deep into, some of the actual things that are truths and dispel some of the common, I think, just theories people have.
Marketing myths.
Yes, marketing myths for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, I think if you go to your average person and say, are fruits and vegetables healthy? I don't know how many people would say no. Very, very
I
few.
don't think anybody would say no,
No,
really. The
they're thinking,
common.
if anything, they're thinking, oh, I need to eat more, or I really should eat more. And
Hmm.
I know for me, I did every New Year's I do resolutions. And one year I went, God, I don't think I eat a vegetable all year long. I'm not even kidding. Like I used to live on Pop Tarts and cereal. And then I said, you know what? I should really try to eat. I thought one a day would be rough. So I did 3 a week, And some weeks were tough, but by the end of the year, I was eating like a couple dozen a day. I was like, oh, I fell in love with them.
Mm.
So I kind of was in the mindset that everyone pretty much has, that they're healthy for you. But the thing that, if you notice, when people, most people, they eat how they want to eat. When they're adults, they'll, whatever, they'll find their little eating
Ice cream
pattern.
for breakfast.
Yeah, whatever.
You
You're
like
the
ice cream, right? You're an
Yeah,
ice
I
cream
have
addict.
ice cream all the time, but it's one of those that people eat. I'm an adult. No one's going to tell me this is, and then you kind of settle into a diet. And for some people, it's great. Other people, they start feeling bad. They might start getting sick, or they might have bloating, or maybe they're gaining weight. And usually then it always follows the same track. Like, oh, okay, I'll start incorporating more fruits and vegetables. And then
Right.
they'll start doing that. And then, oh, maybe I need to be vegetarian, you
Right.
know? And then, oh, maybe I need to be vegan. And then usually what happens when they're at that stage, they're very sick. They've tried everything. They're pulling their hair out because, or it's falling out, probably more likely than not, because they have all these vitamin deficiencies. And they're like, what can I try? And then they might stumble into like a keto or a carnivore. And it usually, no one ever really goes, let me just do keto or carnivore unless they're really, really struggling. And then they'll notice a lot of these problems that they had clear up. So, the one thing that I think I just want to bring about with vegetables and fruits, so they're a living thing. They don't have feet that could get up and run away to defend themselves. So they too have defense mechanisms to keep themselves from going extinct. And they have natural pesticides within them to make whoever's eating or devouring them sick.
Hmm.
So there's all sorts of things from oxalates to tannins to, all these different things. And there are things that, with how we prepare or cook, it lessens the severity of them. But when you look at these things that are naturally found in fruits and vegetables, they actually cause the stomach lining to thin, or you might get leaky gut. A lot of times it causes bloating, and it might cause infections and stuff like that. Or you may get what do you call those, immune diseases, where your body starts attacking
Hmm.
itself because all of a sudden your gut lining's gone. And and people, they think of, oh my God, what are the culprits? I'm eating all vegetables and fruits, and sometimes it's that. Now, if you don't have problems with it, I don't think it's a problem, you
Yeah.
know?
If you don't have a problem, it's no problem.
Yeah. But have you ever had any issues like where you actually ate something that you thought was healthy and then it
Well,
went the wrong
I
way?
found out, yes. What most interestingly, before I started, happened myself into a keto diet. I didn't really plan to be one, but before all of that, I love cashews. Okay, and I could sit down and eat a bag of cashews in no time. and I was doing that, and I started to have. It's hard to. I started to feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't link it immediately to the cashews, but I started to feel bad, and then we ran out of cashews. I started to feel better. We bought more cashews. I started to feel bad. Okay, I got a link now. I looked it up. Cashews are related to poison ivy.
Wow.
And if you have an allergic reaction to poison ivy, you're basically eating.
Wow.
So, yeah, things that you have no idea, like tomatoes, for instance, being part of the nightshade family. You just don't know until you actually look it up because it's all accepted food. But in your case, too, Pop-Tarts are an accepted breakfast.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it right.
But I had, you mentioned cashews. I had cashews twice. Like both times I thought the meals were delicious. And then I had like projectile vomiting. Like it was bad, bad. But I actually had an allergy panel a year back and they found out I was allergic to this thing called colophony. So it's actually a natural presence in evergreens. So they harvest it from evergreen trees, but it could be in anything, any evergreen plant. So sometimes I'll eat something and have a very bad allergic reaction. So if and it could vary, like I'll eat something and literally then I'll get blisters like all around my mouth. And then the whole like roof of my mouth and all my gums blister up and then peel off. And then I'm like spitting out. It's disgusting. And this is just from something I eat. And like I said, it could be a natural thing. So I think you said the key thing is if you're feeling bad, really start looking for the correlation,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's huge.
And it's there. I mean, sometimes it takes time to find it, but it's there. And I'm not going to go too deep into what I'm about to say because it's going to be our next episode. But a lot of times you'll go out and you'll eat things that are portrayed as very healthy. Mm-hmm. And I'm now using ChatGPT almost endlessly. Whenever I go to pick up something to buy, I'll take a picture of the ingredient list and all that, and I'll say, okay, can I eat this? And on occasion, stuff that is portrayed as extremely healthy, I'll get this big red X and capital letters no, and then a whole description of why you don't want to eat this. But you would never believe, because of the brainwashing through marketing that we've had, that it's bad stuff.
Yeah. Like even, I think, like most people know GMOs are bad. Mm-hmm. Like people think, okay, but then some people don't understand. So genetically modified things aren't, it's basically they use science to create this plant-like thing that now needs all these pesticides. And
now, before you go into it too deep, I think we need to make a clarification between GMO, genetically modified, and just, cultivated modified.
Oh, yes.
Because
I think
a lot of foods
that's a
are
huge differentiator.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you want to explain the difference?
So basically, take a banana, for instance. The original bananas were all seed and very little pulp around them and nasty. I mean, people ate them, but they were nothing. We've cultivated out, not genetically modified, but cultivated out the size of the seeds and stuff so that now the pulp around them, which is the banana, and you got just these little tiny nothing seeds in the middle of it, versus wheat.
Yeah.
Wheat of today is nothing like wheat of our, distant ancestors. Well, actually not that distant, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Wheat today is not wheat. Wheat today is some kind of, like you just said.
It's a dwarf wheat. It doesn't, when people think wheat, they think these big flowing stalks with these fluffy, it's this nasty looking short thing that grows quick. Then they spray with glyphosate because dead wheat is easier to harvest. you know, and that's what's in.
But it's been modified out with its own pesticides built in, and like you were talking about earlier, and it's just nasty stuff.
Yeah.
And you really shouldn't be eating it.
No.
And we're eating it mostly in breads and things like that, but it's one of the most unhealthy things that then you go out and you buy whole wheat bread, which is whole times worse.
Exactly.
But people have been
brainwashed
into believing, oh, it's whole wheat, it's
and
good.
therefore more fiber or whatever.
Yeah, fiber.
Yeah.
Let's get into that.
Yeah. So with fiber, I think that's a huge misconception. And I know it came up in last week's topic, but I want to clarify it a little bit. But it is one of those where people think, oh, you need so many grams of fiber or more fiber for healthy. Just say what fiber is. It's the undigestible part of a plant that your body cannot digest. So I don't see how that's beneficial to anybody. Like people are like, oh, it makes you regular. No, it just increases the amount of stuff that you have to expel, basically. Right. So there's no governing agency that says it's required or has any minimum for healthy life.
Yeah, what do they call it? The acceptable daily allowance or something?
Yeah, like but it does not exist. And a lot of times when people have these, certain digestive diseases, they're like, oh, eat more fiber. It's actually been shown to cause harm to people with IBS and diverticulitis and stuff like that. It doesn't help it. Your body does not thrive on fiber. It tolerates it at best.
Well, it gets nothing from it.
It gets nothing from it. And it's just, and people think, oh, if you poop a lot or something, that's healthy. I don't see, like, if you eat carnivore, it's not that you don't go to the bathroom. Like, carnivore has zero fiber. And if you look at, like, people who ate carnivore for like 10 years straight, I'm not saying you have to go carnivore. You could, I'm just saying it's healthier to eat a higher animal-based and not so, manufactured or store-bought foods. Like, right. Eat stuff that's, meant for you. So we are carnivores. We're meant to eat meat. So if you go to, the people that do the extreme and all they eat is meat, these are some of the healthiest people on the planet. A lot of them started where they were sick beyond belief, had all sorts of issues, and they really came to carnivore as a last result. They get zero fiber, and these people are now thriving. Their weight is completely stabilized. Their skin glows. They have great hair, nails, teeth. They're like, if you look at people who've been eating that way, they're glowing. They really are thriving on this. They have no mineral deficiencies. Where if you look on someone on a vegan diet, it's the exact opposite. I mean, some people, if they're very careful, they can maybe try to not have as many deficiencies, but like B12, that's really in like meat products. And unless you're, doing things with like, nutritional yeast and like it, you shouldn't have to overthink. Years ago when people were cavemen, they didn't have these, apps of MyFitnessPal of what's to eat. When it was hunting season, they hunted and they ate. And when they couldn't find anything, then they would gnaw on the plants and stuff. I mean, It wasn't a first resort.
The thing that you brought up last week, and I'd like to reemphasize now, is that if you have to take supplements to supplement the mineral deficiencies in the food you're eating, you're not eating food, you're just eating fluff.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, But why should you have to take supplements to support your healthy eating? Yeah.
And I think you brought up a topic before, which I thought was really good, about how, with a banana, for example, that it's been, hybrid, whatever.
Hybrid, not GMO.
No, but, to remove the stuff. But a lot of the fruits, especially fruits, have been bred in a way that it actually has declined their nutritional benefit in the attempts of being more palatable and sweet. Yes. So fruits now, like if you found an apple in the wild, they're quite nasty. We had an apple tree in my yard in New York, and it was gross. If you bit in that, it was
crab apples.
It was nasty. It was sour, and almost everyone had a worm. Now there's no worms.
Yeah.
They don't want it, And it's so sweet and it tastes very palatable, but you're losing a lot of those vitamin and nutrients that are, given to that fruit or plant as it existed.
Well, even corn. Originally, corn was almost unpalatable. Yeah. It was just nasty little occasional worm-filled kernels.
Yeah.
And, you think about the Pilgrims and all of that when America first started, and the Thanksgiving that they had with their corn, that was nothing.
Yeah.
Like if you put the two together, you wouldn't recognize the two types of corn from what we have today. And I'm not talking about the maize that had the different colored kernels in it. But
Yeah.
before that,
Yeah.
it was just just a dried out nasty husk, really.
Yeah.
Compared to today. So, but well, I guess corn is GMO, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that was one of the things I was going to mention. So with GMO, I think most people are unaware. Like they're like the top GMO products are corn. So unless it specifically says organic at your supermarket, it's most likely GMO.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that people are surprised about is papaya. Most people don't realize most papaya grown in the U.S. is GMO. Another one is soy. Most of that is GMO. Sugar beets are another big one.
Well, soy is kind of nasty anyway.
Yeah.
We really shouldn't. Well, at least men should not be eating.
Yeah, because that
soy.
plays with your hormones.
Yeah,
you know?
it pumps up your estrogen, and you men grow boobs.
Yeah, I call moobs,
Boobs.
man boobs. Yeah, but yeah, and they had and they promote that as like an infant, like if let's say your baby's lactose intolerant or something, or you have a problem breastfeeding, they'll try to promote soy as an option, which one of the worst things you could do, especially to a boy child. I mean, it'll stunt their manhood, and it's not a good thing.
Right.
So, but again, it's a plant, and I think people just don't understand that there's like if you're going to eat, I highly recommend organic. I mean, organic isn't perfect, but it's at least better than stuff that's filled with pesticides and all these nasty things.
Yeah.
Like, for example, apple is one of the highest pesticides crop. Usually, if you look online, there's usually the dirty and clean, and they'll have a list every year. It changes of ones that are safe to eat, not organic, and safer. If you want to save money, like at least then buy those traditional, and then ones that are really high pesticide crops. Like an apple is usually one of the highest because the way it grows, it kind of has that cone where the stem is, and all the pesticide resides in there, and it just seeps into the apple. So it's not like, oh, I'll just wash it really good. It's in the apple. Like peeling it isn't going to do much.
So does eating enough apples get rid of parasites?
But like apples are a very sweet fruit. Again, that was like highly, and I'm not trying to, like, if you enjoy fruits or vegetables and you don't have issues with them, by all means eat them. I mean, I still eat them on occasion, but I don't make it the mainstay of my diet.
Right.
And if I do eat them, I do eat ones that are, a little bit healthier per se. Like I love avocados. They're not this
That's
sugary,
my new go-to.
Yeah, and it has great healthy fats. I mean, it's a fruit. Most people think it's a veggie, but it's actually a fruit. And it's phenomenal for you, Another thing that I enjoy are berries because even though they're sweet, they actually, not a lot of their carbs are actually sugars and stuff like that. It's just, and they have a lot of antioxidants and stuff that are good for you, and they're not as adulterated as some of these like corn and apples and stuff are. They're pretty close to how you'd find them just growing in nature. Like, I mean, I used to go through the woods a lot as a kid, and sometimes it's a wild blueberry bush or something, and they're not that different than a store-bought blueberry.
Right, yeah. We used to have up in Maine the blackberry vines.
Yeah.
We used to, you walk around, you find one, then we'd strip it clean.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you go to the store-bought one, and there's really no difference on that type of berry.
Because the one thing with fruits, like when you think about how nature created, like fruits are meant to be the part of the plant that's eaten to be carried and deposited elsewhere.
Right.
As opposed to a vegetable where it's just kind of stuck in place.
Yeah.
So the fruits are less likely to have as many toxins and stuff, those anti-nutrients in them, because they're hoping they get eaten and deposited. So, stuff like berries and stuff like that. Like, you're better off with things that, like I said, aren't adulterated so much from what they are, but you're less likely to have complications other than the really high sugar content that you're now getting from a lot
Right.
of these.
Well, it's interesting because in the past, I ate a higher vegetable than meat style diet, which now is completely changed, and my health has completely changed with it.
Improved,
Yeah, and going back to our fats episode, the myth of eating meat and getting all the fats and cholesterol going up and clogging your arteries and you die because you didn't eat enough beans is totally baloney.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, on a carnivore or a keto-based diet, you do eat more. Some of the food has more cholesterol and stuff in it, but the bad cholesterol numbers go down and the good cholesterol numbers go up when you change your diet like that versus eating we'll call it the general American diet of.
Well, they call it the SAD diet, standard American diet.
Sad diet.
Have you ever
No, I
heard
haven't
that?
heard that
Yeah,
before.
no, that's what it's called, the SAD diet.
Well, eating that, I mean, you can understand why.
Yeah.
It's unhealthy.
But I think a lot of people, they'll like, if they go through these detox programs, like, I'm going to detox, and they think fruits and veggies and cleanses and whatever, or pH levels. Like, first of all, your body regulates your pH level, not your fruits and veggies, not your water. These are all marketing ploys to charge more money for whatever. But the thing that regulates your cleanses you is your liver and your kidneys, and that's what actually detoxifies your body. I've never heard of a body getting detoxified because I have a carrot juice cleanse. Like, that makes it's still the liver that detoxifies your body. And a lot of people think, well, with meats and fats, like it's going to clog. It doesn't clog. Honestly, people who think, because sometimes when people go carnivore or keto, they may get constipated and they think, it's because I'm not eating enough fiber. It's actually you're not eating enough fat. Yeah. So you can actually, depending on your stools, adjust your fat content. So if they're fine, you're doing good. If you find that you feel you're constipated, up your fat. And ways to make you go quicker is if it's more melted liquefied fat. So for example, if you do melted butter, it's going to be more help in that area versus if you're eating a stick of butter on, something like that. Or
well, that's why I take a slug of avocado oil.
Yeah,
all the time, actually.
And another thing that people use too is that coconut oil, or MCT oil, where people, if you take too much of that, you could actually get the runs.
Yeah.
So again, these are the things that are going to help you go. It's not a fiber thing. Like fiber just adds to the volume of stuff that your body cannot process, and therefore you're going more. And I don't know anyone who I don't know why anyone would want to just poop more for the sake of pooping more. That seems silly, but
well, yeah.
Teach their own.
Yeah.
Maybe you hate your septic tank. Take that.
But it's true. And the vegetables that we're eating, the mineral content of our soil.
Oh, that's a huge topic. Yes.
Yeah. The in the past, in the old days, the plants, the vegetables would bring up the minerals from the soil. But now, that's why we need massive amounts of fertilizers, is because the minerals in the soil are gone.
Well, the other thing they used to do is rotate crops.
Yeah, we used to.
Yeah, you wouldn't put, corn in the same field year after year. It'd be, you would rotate where each crop goes, but that's not how farming works in the U.S. If you grow corn, you're growing corn, like you're the corn farmer.
Now, in Bunnell, which is a city close to where we are now, they grow basically three crops. They're known for their potatoes.
Okay.
But they also grow corn and cabbage.
Okay.
And I don't know how often they rotate in the potatoes into it, but Bunnell is big in potatoes. I think don't quote me, but I believe it's Wise potato chips buys
Oh,
almost
really?
exclusively from the potatoes or Benel sells almost exclusively their potatoes to that. I
Okay.
don't remember that. I don't know if it's accurate still today, but I had heard that in the past. But I've been out there and working with my dad when we were building houses and the cabbage crops, and then all of a sudden it switches over to the corn crops. So they were doing that, but the cabbage crops, a lot of the times, the farmers were subsidized not to harvest.
Oh,
So,
really?
so if you've ever been around fields and fields of rotten cabbage,
I'm sure that
going
would
back,
smell
oh, it's
disgusting.
great. It's
Ugh.
great. Yeah, it's great.
Ugh.
But there's no mineral replacement. I mean, those 2 or 3 crops are just constant. You
Yeah.
know, they're switching them out, but they're constant. They're not bringing something else in, and I don't know. The vegetables and everything we eat are mineral deficient. You
Yeah.
have to get it from somewhere else if you're going straight into a vegan or vegetarian diet.
And the other
But you
thing,
don't need to do that if you're carnivore,
carnivore,
or
keto, or yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the other thing that people forget, and we live in Florida, so it's warm all year long. But there's a lot of
Well,
parts.
it's warm and then it's damn hot.
But there's a lot of parts in the world that they have seasons and stuff.
Right.
So people don't realize, like, when it was winter or fall, like you would plant a crop and then you'd harvest it once. So for these people that are like vegetarians and stuff like that, you got to realize it was abnormal to be eating these all year long.
Right.
Like it would just be supplemental in certain areas, like maybe during drought season or whatever. And the other times of the year, it was strictly carnivore and stuff. And you look at some of like the healthiest, they call them centurions, people that live well into their hundreds, they're not, a lot of them, like there's Eskimos or,
Eating
like
high fats from
high fats and
walruses and seals
yeah,
and
or
stuff
there's
like that.
another one that they actually do a lot of sweet potatoes there, but they have also fish, stuff like that,
Right.
but it's not it's just not normal to sit there and have these, oh, I'll have strawberries every single day and I'll have this every single day. And just to have this huge influx. Like, again, if you're not having problems with your diet, all power to you. We're just trying to deliver information that, let's say you think you're eating healthy and something feels off. I hear so many people think that they go, oh, well, it's age, like I have acid reflux. Well, I'm in my 60s now and it's just normal. No, it's not normal. It's not, so if you're having any sort of digestive issue and stuff like with yours, I'm assuming a lot of your weight was probably inflammation. So,
Oh, sure.
having all those vegetables was inflaming your body. So there was stuff in what you were eating that was causing your insulin to spike and your inflammation to go up. And it was, even eating healthy vegetables and fruits, or what people consider healthy.
Well, that's what I considered it healthy.
Yeah.
And in where are we at now? Today is Wednesday, so tomorrow will be 3 weeks. So, and today's Wednesday. This will air on Friday. So when you see it, it's yesterday.
You just confused everybody.
But for us, it's tomorrow.
Today's tomorrow, or whatever.
But so 3 weeks of completely switching my diet and intermittent fasting and so forth. I've dropped, as of now, 27.5 pounds.
Wow.
So, and it's not like an unhealthy drop,
Yeah.
It's not like I'm wasting muscle fiber away and losing weight through losing muscle. No, I've dropped all the inflammation and the massive amount of excess water that I was holding,
Yeah.
which had driven my glucose level up. 90 is, for an average normal person, 90 is the high end of good. And I was 403, which was really good.
Not.
Yeah. Now, on average, I'm below 120 with my goal of getting down below 90. But it's only been, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So it is what we eat.
Yeah.
And it is how we eat it and the timing we eat it. it's not just, feed your face all day long.
Yeah.
You really have to pay attention to it.
And I think you brought up kind of an interesting point too. So a lot of times when they're talking about losing weight, what they really want to do is lose fat or inflammation and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I don't think anyone on the planet's like, I really want to lose some muscle, you know?
Yeah.
So if anything, you want to gain muscle, because just the average person, if you don't do anything to promote muscle growth, you're going to lose muscle every year anyway.
Right.
So the fact when you're eating more proteins as opposed to like fruits and vegetables, you're actually giving your body the building blocks to do that. If you all of a sudden go to like vegetarian and stuff like that, you're you could do veggie proteins, and they'll have like stuff made from pea protein and all the stuff, but it's not as bioavailable as animal protein. So 100 grams of pea protein and 100 grams of beef is not going to produce the same result in the body, because
Right.
one's much more bioavailable where it can actually be used and assimilated, and the other is just adding to your poop factor, whatever. And people, when they don't understand, like to build muscle, like, oh, I'm working the gym. You could you could go to the gym, you could do all these things to, promote muscle growth. But if you don't have enough protein, it's kind of like trying to build a house without wood,
Right.
You can have, you could go there, you can have the blueprints and you can have the sheetrock but if you don't have stuff to like actually
Build it.
it's not going to happen. And I think that's why so many people, they underestimate their protein needs for the day, and they
And protein leads to healing too.
Yeah.
I had a friend, had a massive motorcycle accident several years ago. How he survived, I don't know, but he busted up a lot of his body, and they weren't feeding him while he was in the hospital. And he was in the hospital for a long time. They weren't feeding him the proper protein diet, and he was fading away. And he got to the point where he was then brought to another facility, and they predicted that he wouldn't make it through the night.
Oh, wow.
And the doctor said that his protein level was so low that his body just couldn't keep going. And I said, well, why don't you give him some protein? And I said, well, it won't work now. So I went over to a local store, bought some protein, made some protein shakes, forced him to eat it that night, which was difficult because he was out of it.
Yeah.
But he did. He drank the shake, which was massive amount of protein in it. And the next morning, that night he was hallucinating and playing slot machines and eating bananas. Yeah, they weren't there. But the next morning he was a lot better.
Oh, wow.
Markedly better.
Mm-hmm.
And so, kept giving him these high protein shakes. Well, that doctor that said nothing you could do walks in, and the look on his face that he was still alive, the doctor's look on the doctor's face was shock.
Wow.
And I said, well, you said it wouldn't help, but I thought it was worth a try, so I went and bought him. He says, you can't give him that protein. We have special protein. I said, well, then why weren't you giving it to him? Yeah. So they then wouldn't allow us to bring the protein in anymore, and they gave him these little shots of what looked like some kind of honey stuff. And but yeah, you have to have protein.
Yeah.
Sure. It builds you and heals you.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely one of those, and I think people just, they poo-poo the, or I think in a lot of women's minds, they are scared to get bulky, like, oh,
Sure.
If I work out or I do that, I don't want to get bulky. First of all, for a woman to get bulky, it's like near impossible. Like, I mean, when I was going to the gym, I used to go to the gym 2 hours a day, work out like a fiend, and I, had really good muscle tone. But you would never, I'd look like a very healthy, curvy female, I mean, protein's needed in all sorts of things, all your glands, your cells, for you to start looking like a man, you have to take some kind of weird hormonal, like,
Steroid stuff.
you're not going to all of a sudden start, for these bodybuild, even men who bodybuild have to do ridiculous things to look bulky.
Right.
And women just don't have the testosterone naturally. That's why we're women, to build that sort of muscle in and of ourselves.
Right.
We're that's not our makeup.
Well, I think we're out of time.
Ooh,
So
that went quick.
it always does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So what are we going to do next week?
So next week, I think we're going to talk about kind of those, those foods or things that we think are healthy or packaged as healthy, or
Yeah.
and they're really not. Because in the end, the whole point of the show is to educate people on some of the myths out there,
Right.
and don't trust the marketing. You're better off trusting how you feel.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It's important.
Yeah.
Well, until next week,
Yeah.
we can't use your tagline from your other show, so
We got to come up
we've
with
got to
the
come up
one.
with a new one.
Yeah.
So leave in comments what you think a good tagline
on.
would be to end the show.
Yeah.
But until then, have a great week, eat healthy, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.